useful to not defend yourself too vociferously, which is weird because you'd think, well, you have the right to defend yourself, like no holds barred. It's like, no, it actually doesn't work that way. It's that you have to defend yourself with minimal necessary force. And I think I managed that in the Channel 4 interview.
For sure.
Thank God.
Yeah.
But I mean, believe me, people have been talking to me about that nonstop for 15 months, and I'm listening.
And by the way, it wouldn't work as well if you hadn't done that, right? If you just shellacked her.
Right.
If you just gone right at her and said, what you are saying is so stupid for these 5 reasons, it would have been bad, I think. I think the fact that you sat there and you just said, no, you're asking good questions, and the fact that you're asking good questions demonstrates the invalidity of your entire viewpoint. I think that was much more effective.
Well, right. Well, and that's see. One of the things I've been meditating on for the last year is there's a line in the New Testament that says, "Resist not evil." I think, okay, what the hell are you supposed to do with that line? It's like, because it's really a difficult thing to figure out. Do you really mean that? You don't resist evil? Well, there's a couple of problems. Is if you punch back, then you have a fight. Well, but you can't just not defend yourself, like weakly. You can't be weak and not defend yourself. But you can be strong and defend yourself minimally. And that's a real art. Like that's the essence of sophistication, I would say.
Yeah.
And like I'm not, I come from kind of a rough place. I come from northern Alberta. I come from the frontier, And my town was scraped out of the bloody prairie 50 years before people moved, before I lived there. And so it's been a continual challenge to adjust my sophistication to the level of challenge, and I'm trying to do that. And
do you?
Let me put a quote to you from the book, where you say, there are whole disciplines in universities forthrightly hostile towards men. These are the areas of study dominated by the postmodern stroke neo-Marxist claim that Western culture in particular is an oppressive structure created by white men to dominate and exclude women. But then I want to put
minorities too dominate and exclude.
Okay, sure. But I want to put to you that here in the UK, for example, let's take that as an example, the gender pay gap stands at just over 9%. You've got women at the BBC recently saying that the broadcaster is illegally paying them less than men to do the same job. You've got only 7 women running the top FTSE 100 companies.
Yeah.
So it seems to a lot of women that they're still being dominated and excluded, to quote your words back to you.
It does seem that way, but multivariate analysis of the pay gap indicate that it doesn't exist.
But that's just not true, is it?
That's
I mean, that
absolutely
9% pay gap, that's a gap between median hourly earnings between men and women.
But there's
that exists.
Yeah, but there's multiple reasons for that. One of them is gender, but it's not the only reason. Like if you're a social scientist worth your salt, you never do a univariate analysis. Like you say, well, women in aggregate are paid less than men. Okay, well, then we break it down by age, we break it down by occupation, we break it down by interest, we break it down by personality.
But you're saying basically it doesn't matter if women aren't getting to the top, because that's what's skewing that gender pay gap, isn't it? You're saying, well, that's just a fact of life. Women aren't necessarily going to get to the top.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter either.
You're saying
I'm saying there are multiple reasons for it.
Yeah, but those reasons, why should women put up with those reasons? Why should women be content
I'm not
not
saying
to
that
get
they
to the
should
top?
put up with it. I'm saying that the claim that the wage gap between men and women is only due to sex is wrong. And it is wrong. There's no doubt about that. The multivariate analysis have been done.
You're just saying things, though, to provoke, aren't you? I mean, you are a provocateur.
I never say
You're like
anything.
the alt-right that you hate to be compared to. You want to stir things up.
I'm only a provocateur insofar as when I say what I believe to be true, it's provocative. I don't provoke. Maybe for humor,
you don't set out to
now
provoke.
and then. I'm not interested in provoking.
But what about the thing about, fighting and the lobster? Tell us about the lobster.
Well, that's quite a segue. Well, the first chapter I have in my book is called Stand Up Straight with Your Shoulders Back. And it's an injunction to be combative, not least to further your career, let's say, but also to adopt a stance of ready engagement with the world and to reflect that in your posture. And the reason that I write about lobsters is because there's this idea that hierarchical structures are a sociological construct of the Western patriarchy. And that is so untrue that it's almost unbelievable. And I use the lobster as an example because the lobster We divulged from lobsters in evolutionary history about 350 million years ago, common ancestor. And lobsters exist in hierarchies, and they have a nervous system attuned to the hierarchy. And that nervous system runs on serotonin, just like our nervous systems do. And the nervous system of the lobster and of the human being is so similar that antidepressants work on lobsters. And it's part of my attempt to demonstrate that the idea of hierarchy has absolutely nothing to do with sociocultural construction, which it doesn't.
Let me just get this straight. You're saying that we should organize our societies along the lines of the lobsters?
I'm saying that it's inevitable that there will be continuity in the way that animals and human beings organize their structures.